Okay, for people joining this live stream, we are continuing to look at database functionality, coming in at the 11th hour for version 12 of Wolfram Language. I am unfortunately a bit under the weather. I have some random viral sickness and have a fever here, so I may be a bit subdued and possibly more argumentative than usual, or possibly less argumentative, I don't know. All right, let's get started here. So we're starting with sampled entity class. I thought we had gone through these. What did we not go through here? Hello? Can you hear me? What did we not go through here?
Carlo, Ricardo, do you have any...
Okay, we need to know the answer to that, because otherwise we can't do this meeting in any useful way. Where did this agenda
I
come
think it's from Andrea, who's not working today. So
Yeah.
I think that the ones we started to review means that you've gone through most of the stuff. So
what are we doing here? Just tell me what we should be doing. Otherwise,
no, there are a bunch of symbols, like, for example, entity value.
What are you talking about? That's not
changes.
Correct. But look,
updated symbols, the list below.
Yeah, okay, but this we haven't gone through. This has obviously not been processed by me.
No, you started looking at this and then you said, "Oh, it's a mess."
So then let's figure out what we're doing. Okay, that's what I want to know the answer to. Yeah, that looks like one that we've processed.
Yeah.
No, this is obviously not something I would have done here. Okay, so where are we starting? Are we starting with combined entity class or aggregated entity class or what? You tell me.
Probably combined is better because we did part of it at least last time.
Okay, let's go over it then. By combining the properties of those pairs of entities from class 1 and class 2, for which the value of the property prop is the same for the two entities. Let's just say for the two entities in the pair. Combines pairs of entities for which the value of prop 1, okay? You didn't fix this. We discussed that has to be fixed. That subscript, right? Did that just get ignored? Anybody know?
And I didn't have time to go through all of that.
Okay, well, that's something needs to be done. Containing missing elements to be generated. Okay, fine. Entity properties is the join of the entity properties from those two things. Right. Why is it a special two-argument form of entity function? What's special about it?
But usually entity function is behaving like a property, so it applies to an entity. In this case, it applies to two entities at the same time. It's the only case where it's not.
So in combined entity class of class 1, class 2, f, the function f must be of the form entity function.
You missed F, Stephen.
What? Oh, the function.
The function F.
Right. Must be of the form entity function of E1, comma, E2, dot, 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 where E1 and E2 stand, where the EI, well, stand respectively for entities in class 1 and class 2. Okay. Any objections?
I think it sounds good.
No, that's fine.
You know, running the formatting system is about the level of what I'm capable of doing in my second state here today, but it's okay. I will try to. Okay, cannot have two identical. Okay, this has got to be said better. Okay, so this is another form here, right? I mean, you could always put an alias like this, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I think this is where we broke last time. Like, I was wondering whether that should be its own usage message.
Thinking. You know what? I think we can do this. I'm not sure how to do that usage message because either class could be aliased, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you can write something like in place of class, this and this can be used.
Right. What's that entity type name of class 2? No, that's not. That's just whatever the name of class 2 is. Right? Yeah, okay, hold on. So, in the result from combined entity class, the properties in the result from combined entity class 1, class 2, ... are of the form entity property of type 1, comma, or whatever the name is, where the type I are the entity types of class 1 of the class I. Okay. Combined entity class of quotes alias 1, arrow class 1, ... can be used to create, can be used to give properties of the form entity property of quotes alias I, arrow type I, in combined entity class 1, class 2, the class I must be distinct. Combined entity class of alias 1 well, let's say, let's do this. Class, comma, quotes, alias of class can be used for identical classes.
Maybe, Stephen, we could stress that aliases can also be used for the second class, because it's not obvious from.
I did that.
You just mentioned first class alias goes to class 1 and then ... So maybe we should mention that aliases can be used also for the second class. Or do you think it's obvious?
I think it's pretty obvious, but especially given this example here, can be used to give properties of the form. Well, okay, look, here we can do this. Alias 2, arrow class 2. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is my calling, pressing Option T, which would be even better if I didn't have a left-handed mouse. Okay. Okay. Okay, this goes away. Okay, so now we want to say in the join specification JSpec can have the same values as in join across, to wit. Okay, let's write this. Okay, so that's C1, C2. Okay, so now how do we write this out? What are the AI and BJ in this case? They are property. Help me out.
So the problem is this: is that basically you are combining two entities, and in this case, the AI. The problem is that in the association there is not really this indirection. So in this case, what you're doing is that in spec you have mentions of some properties, and if those properties match, then you combine the entities that correspond to those properties.
But yes, but AI and BJ are entities, not properties.
Yes, AI and BJ are the entities in this case.
Okay. Keep only those entities for which properties match.
Well, instead of properties match, we should say something like entity function yields true.
If yeah, it's not.
Sorry,
I mean, it could be entity.
Okay. Okay. So the issue is the join specification JSpec okay, so it's determining when missing will be generated, right? Correct? It's going to be the symbolic form missing. Is that correct?
Yeah, but on the other hand, if you are doing inner join, it's not necessarily missing. It's just that some entity pairs will not be picked.
Okay, fine. But if they are picked, that's either are they missing? Okay, to determine when to allow entities containing missing elements to be generated, right? That's what it says there.
Missing properties, maybe it should say.
Yeah.
Okay. With missing properties to be generated. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the join specification JSpec so what is it really doing? It's working like what? It's the A sub i's here are what?
So the A sub I are the entities.
Class 1 and class 2, is that correct?
Yes. So to give an example, imagine that you're joining countries with capital cities. The default is inner, and so you will get Rome, Italy, Paris, France, and so on and so forth. So if you say left, and on the left are the countries, then it will be the same because all countries have a capital. But if you say right,
Western Sahara does not.
Okay. If you say right, so then the difference in that case is that if you do inner join, then you delete in the Western Sahara. If you do right, then you're going to have all the cities that we have in our entities. And for some of them, they will not be the capital of anything. So they will have a matched country. Is that clear?
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. Okay. The join specification okay. All right, hold on. Okay. Why do we have that DA? Was that somewhere else? Okay, so I'm thinking we do this. And the join specification determines. Okay, hold on. Determines which of the entities A sub I from class C sub A which entities A sub I from class C sub A and which entities B sub I from class B, C sub B should be kept. The possible specifications join specifications are the same as for join across. I'm going to say for which properties match, and then I'm going to say the property, and I'm going to have a separate note that says of the function case. Okay?
Okay. But what you could say is like something like for which, because the properties are encoding of a condition, so maybe we could say something like for which the condition is true. Or
okay,
is met, or which the condition is met.
should be kept.
You can just write
Wait a
for
minute,
which f of a I bj yields true.
but there's no f in most of these cases, is there?
Well,
There
yeah,
isn't,
in these
so we can't use
specs,
that. We can't use that. Okay, so let's keep going because there's an implicit equal in that case. Okay, which entities AI from class A and BI from class B should be kept? Depending on look, you know what? Let's do the matching thing and then let's describe the possible join specifications. Keep only those for which properties match. Now, what's this one? No BI with a matching property. Correct? Correct?
well, it's not. It might be correct in some cases, but
Well, when is it not correct?
well, sometimes the fact, like the condition to decide whether to include
I don't give
or
a shit.
not.
That's a separate thing here, right? I'm dealing with this case first. Okay? I'm dealing with the case of properties first.
Oh, so are you going to then expand the same thing for more complicated case of the F?
I'm just going to say that for more complicated cases, so maybe what we could say, why don't we just do this?
But I mean, I think that at least as far as I remember, for example, when I tried to explain this to Tony, it's much clearer if you first understand the general case of that is a condition. Because then if you think about properties, then it's not clear that it even makes sense to have inner outer when it's a Boolean condition.
Okay, well, Tony, speak up, please. Tony?
Yes. I'm just looking at the implementation to get some inspiration.
So, I mean, I would say something like...
Hold on. This should say cond, I think, for a condition. And no, back. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
No, what I was going to say is that instead of saying for which properties match, you can say for which the condition is met. And then you can say allow
which
only...
entities... But wait. The joint specification determines which entities AI from class A and BI from class B should be kept based on whether the condition defined by cond is met for each AI and BJ. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but basically, in the end, what we should say is that when you do left, then you have, we can just say we have all the entities in the class A, CA.
Okay, well,
so
fine. Well, so fine. So maybe we want a completely different table then.
Why? No. The table is fine. I'm just saying, you say inner, keep only those entities for which the condition is met, and then left.
Okay, keep only those AI for which the condition is met.
Yes, and then for left you say keep all the AI in class A.
I'll just say keep all the AI. That's it. Right?
Yeah.
Keep all the AI. Regardless of the BJ.
Yeah.
Maybe we should make a little drawing here. I don't know. It's much easier if you look at Venn diagrams.
Well, fine. Then you can do that. That's a Rogerian tradition. I'm not going to make the drawing. You guys should make the drawing.
Sure.
I support having a drawing. Okay. Okay, now outer, what's that one? Keep all AI and BJ. Right?
Yeah.
That was easy.
Which doesn't mean cross product, by the way, but.
This is rather ponderously talking about okay. Okay, fine. Okay, why does this not refer to any of the other combined, aggregated, anything else functions? Can you answer that, please?
I mean, because it didn't appear to me that there was one that was more interesting than the others. But.
Oh, maybe it should refer to what have we done with other ones here? What did we do with sorted?
I gave you the same answer. I think no, sorted has an obvious relation to sampled because we mention it.
What doesn't this have an obvious relationship to aggregated and extended?
You mean the combined?
Certainly has an obvious relation to aggregated.
Combined? Not really. It's a completely orthogonal operation.
Well, but you might have wanted the aggregated operation instead.
But they're different. So with the same probability.
But that doesn't mean that if they were the same, we wouldn't be having two separate functions for them.
Yeah, right. But I mean, if we list all these operations, they're downstairs.
We don't want to list all of them. We want somebody who might be confused because they might say, I want to combine all entities of some type. I think we should list aggregated because I think it's a similar type of idea. Whether we should, and what about
you know what, Stephen? If we want to list something, let it be extended because both of them extend things, but in a slightly different way. Well, in actually different way. So people may, yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. Have you started putting in examples here?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, Ben on the live stream is expressing the importance of examples and tutorials, which I thoroughly concur with. You know, the examples should really be minimal. Why do you need 3 properties here rather than just 2?
I don't know. I inherited this example with modifications.
Okay. You know what? Properties like this don't belong in the
No,
initial,
I mean the reason why
basic examples
Stephen,
need to show.
Stephen,
I mean, first of all, this
third,
output is really long. What's that?
I added the 3 properties there because otherwise you don't know what we're talking about. If I just put atomic mass in it of the element and atomic mass of the isotope, then what are we talking about? Like it's just numbers. It's just
Okay, fair enough.
And I think period 1 is
Okay,
the
that's
smallest.
actually kind of an interesting result. Okay, it's kind of interesting. Okay, I admit this actual output is kind of interesting. Okay. Ben on our live stream is questioning whether what we did here was correct. Okay. Isn't left keep all AI and only BJ matching the condition? That's for you guys.
So, okay, so the way I slightly disagree with what Ben wrote, because the point is that if the condition for outer, if the condition is false, you're gonna have all the AI joined with unmatched and all the BI joined with unmatched. So you get the cardinality of A plus B in outer.
Don't we have to describe what thing is filled in when they don't match, or it's just not there?
I mean, in that case, no, it's so basically the canonical name is going to be missing unmatched, and then all the properties are going to be missing not applicable in the case of databases, because databases have.
We should say that.
Yeah.
We should say that. Okay,
Also
when a corresponding.
I mean, it's a little bit ugly because in the built-in entities we can say missing unmatched even on the properties, but databases don't have different types of missings. They only have null. So we have to say missing.
So we have to put this line here. When a corresponding value, when a corresponding property is absent. No, value is absent, correct?
Value of the property.
Same in the last usage line, where we could say property value as opposed to property.
Which one? This one here?
Missing property values.
Well, actually, this is probably not descriptive enough. We should explain that missing will be used for all property values for the cases when there is no match. So if we keep, for example, AI and then...
Uses Chase, but I think we should say to be included. I don't think it's generated. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So what are you saying down here? So first of all, is this correct? Is what you say here correct?
It is correct, but it might benefit from a bit more being said here. So and particularly for the outer, because for the outer, while we keep all AI and BJs, the cardinality is not generally a sum.
So there might be a different explanation that is easier. So the basic operation is inner, while on the left one you have inner plus something else. The right one is inner plus something else, and the outer is inner plus the additional ones for left plus the additional ones for right.
Yeah. And it's even more important because if the condition is formulated in such a way that there are, for example, for a single AI, there is more than one BJ that is meeting the condition, then Cartesian products are formed there. So it means that you are kind of exploding these pairs. So maybe somewhere we should write that semantically, unless we already wrote it somewhere, that semantically it's the same as outer of the two things and then select of condition applied to outer.
Sounds like that's a good thing to have in properties and relations.
Yeah, because...
Okay, but I just want to know, is this correct? Is it correct that if you say left, then you keep all of the A sub I?
Yeah.
It is correct, but it may give an impression that you will have the cardinality equal to the cardinality of the set A, which is not correct.
What do you have?
That depends on the B, because if you have matches for single A with multiple B's, then you will have more things than just a list of A's. Some A's will be repeated several times. So if you have A1 that matches B1, B2, and B3, then A1 will be repeated 3 times in the result.
Well, then maybe what we said over here in join across is the better way to say it.
Which was?
Well, read it. Allow the AI for which there is no matching BI.
Yeah, I think it's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right, let's move on. What's next? Aggregated entity class, or is extended easier?
I think extended was mostly done.
Okay.
Extended is very easy.
Famous last words.
It was done because I had it with in the C also, and you removed it. So.
Okay. So why didn't we note that it was done? No idea. Yeah, I remember writing this. Yes, we did this. Okay. Last but not least, aggregated entity class, which I believe we've not tackled. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we briefly looked into it, but then switched to the combined entity class.
Okay. Representative entity class containing a single entity with a property prop whose value is the result of applying the function to class. Applying the function to the list of elements in class. Is that right?
Well,
No.
in some cases, for example, database backend, it's really not applied to a list.
Well, conceptually, it's to the list.
Conceptually, yes.
Conceptually, it's to the transposed association, but
yeah.
It's really the reason why we had said class directly. It's because entity value already has the correct behavior. So if you really are applying it's applied to the class in that sense.
Okay, representative entity class is the result of applying the function f. See, I want to make it clear that it's like a total or something like that. It's not like gulp the whole thing in.
Actually, it's to the property values of the entities of class.
Well, then, is it? I don't think so. I think it's just a function.
No, because the
function... What's an
example?
Scroll down.
Okay, wait a minute. With the property is the result of applying the function f to... Okay, but this is the case where is applying f to the value of all properties of the property prop.
No. Wait. If you write that, you're going to paint yourself into a corner.
If you're which property is it computing from?
Look at the first detail. That usage message encompasses 2 things. One is the full entity function, which might contain more than one prop. So you might be doing, like some weird computation, dividing the total something by the mean of something else.
Okay, fine. To the whole specified class.
I think that is fine. We should keep it a bit vague, otherwise we have to make 3 more user messages.
Okay. Construct multiple properties obtained by applying each of the Okay, containing as many entities as there are distinct values. Okay, well, let's first of all say, what the heck is this? I see. But how does that function get applied?
Well, maybe it's worth saying that it's applied to the groups grouped by the property grouping.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm just got distracted by something. Okay. Say this again.
I think it's worth saying that the way it is computing things is by applying a function to the property to the grouped entities. So it creates groups.
I see. Okay. Represent a class containing. That's nonsense there. That's absolute nonsense. But what is grouping a property?
Yeah, grouping
It's
is a property.
either a property or there is another message for a list of properties.
Okay. Many entities are distinct values of the property grouping.
This is correct, but it doesn't explain the mechanics of how things are done.
Okay, wait. Represents a class Okay. Why don't we say groups groups the elements of class according to their values of the property call it G-prop.
I think you want to say the values, not their values of the property.
Yeah. Groups the elements of class according to their values of the property G-prop. Then generates an entity class
Still don't
with
think that
an entity for each of these groups. Is that right?
I
Yeah.
mean, I still think that you can't say there and then of the, but I'm not a native speaker.
No, it's okay.
Because they're both genitive, but maybe I'm.
But still,
I never learned that.
we have to be consistent.
I learned genitive only in Latin, which is perhaps related to Italian. I don't know.
Still, and if you have group here, then also change grouping to group in the
No, I know. This has to be changed. Okay. I'm saying G-prop there. Okay? Okay, groups the elements of class according to their values of the property G-prop, then generates an entity class with an entity Okay, why don't we say forms groups of elements of class and generates an entity class with an entity for each of these groups. I think that's okay. That makes sense. Okay, so now what is this one? This says okay, well, groups, forms groups for which all the values of properties G prop I are distinct. That's correct.
Yes. Except it might sound, if you formulate it this way, it might sound as if you are comparing prop 1 to prop 2, etc.
Okay, for which all the values of properties G prop for each entity.
I would just say where the combination of values G prop 1, etc. are distinct.
The set of values of properties, is that reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay.
The sets then of values.
What's that?
The sets, plural.
Forms groups.
For which the sets of values.
No, it can be singular there. For which the set of values forms groups.
Then is distinct. Either the sets or
yes. You're right. Yep, you're right. Okay. Okay. What is this one? Okay. Let's do this. Whoops. I don't know what that's doing there. This may have to be fixed. Let it fix itself. Okay. Okay. Now this one forms groups according to the values obtained.
So you left the S.
But wait. Okay, yes. Sorry, hold on. Obtained by applying the entity functions f sub I.
Actually, that is not the main point of the last message. I think using entity functions where we can use a property is implicit or already known. The key point of that last message is that you can introduce a named property or an alias to later use it.
Yeah, but I don't think that in this case we allow for. Do we allow for the naked property? Because that means that the canonical name doesn't have a name. Not sure that.
Well, we can say as a subcase that you can rename these properties if you want to.
And also, shouldn't the last one be the second last, just as one? And then you have a list of group specs.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, but I don't think this is what Tony meant.
Oh, yes, actually, yes.
Oh, you meant this, Tony?
Yes.
Okay, forms groups according to the values obtained by applying the entity function f with the resulting properties given forms groups according to the values obtained by applying the entity function f with the resulting property named p-name. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
P-name
here,
string.
What's that?
A string, p-name.
I know, but we usually do it this way. Okay, so now here we say
so if we usually do it this way, then the second user message is wrong.
okay. Of values defined by the p-spec I Okay. I think I have to disappear fairly soon here. Okay, hold on. Okay. For single entities, wait a minute. But they're not single entities in the first argument. There are no single entities. It's an entity class in the first argument.
Yeah, but the point is that the second argument of aggregated entity class does not automatically thread. The third argument does.
Okay. Okay.
That's the point.
Are applied to the individual entities are applied separately to the individual entities I hate saying first argument, second argument. You know what? I'm going to redo this. In aggregated entity class of class, comma, prop spec, comma, what are we going to call the final thing? G spec. By the way, this should be G spec 1, G spec 2. Oh, for goodness sake. Okay. And prop spec
I
are
think you have
taken.
an extra S. It's prop spec. On the first one has an extra S.
Entity function expressions in prop spec are applied to the entity class as an entity class.
That's not entirely correct, because usually if you take an entity function and you apply it to an entity class, it will thread.
Okay, so look, what we want to do is give the 2-argument case here first, and then give the 3-argument case, because there's no grouping.
Okay.
There's a case without grouping, right?
Actually,
Correct?
Yeah.
we could handle the 3-argument case first, and then say the 2-argument case, there's just one group. Yeah. We say normally we have various groups, and in the 2-argument case, it's one.
Okay. Prop spec are applied to the entity classes obtained from class by using the grouping specification gspec. Okay.
I'm not very happy about this.
Okay,
The thing
you
is
guys are going
that-
to tell me what's actually true. Does entity function get applied to an entity class or to something different?
So when you apply an entity function to an entity class outside of this context, it will auto-thread on all the single entities inside the entity class.
Okay.
So this is a very special behavior. That's why we're pointing it out.
And
Oh,
also there is another difference, that the groups that are being formed, they are at best virtual entity classes. We can never single them out. They are only internally
Why?
constructed.
Why couldn't you have an? I mean, okay.
We
Then
may
what
have
actually
a-
gets fed to this thing? What I mean, if I have a function, if this is top-level code, and I'm not doing it through some weird external database, what happens if I have the function f?
Okay, if you have the function, okay, if this was top-level code, then this would actually and if you imagine that entities are a class of entities is a list of associations, then you would feed that function the transposition of the list of associations, so that they become.
Is that what it's actually fed, or not?
In SQL, who knows what it does?
Well, for all intents
Okay,
and
but in the
I'll
top-level
check.
case,
Yes.
what is it actually fed?
Tony should answer.
Well, I did what a database group told me, but a long time ago, I had proposed an aggregate or an entity aggregate function because it's so different. And for instance, in Sparkle and other languages, there is a big difference between aggregate functions and normal functions.
I mean, it's definitely a good point.
This is a mess. We have to be clear. When you say entity function, right here, and I'm going to have to go, and unfortunately, we're going to have to schedule yet another meeting here. Just a minute. When you say entity function here, right? I've got an entity function. It's got an X, and it's going to do things here. What does that X bind to?
So effectively, you have entity value of X, properties. Yeah. So wherever you find X of something, you transform it to entity value of X, property.
Okay, hold on. In this case here.
So in this case, I came up with some kind of explanation that justifies it somewhat. And the idea is that you introduce new virtual entities. You can imagine however you want to do it, like by registering a store or those are of a different type and whose property values are list valued. Yeah? They have the same names, but they're list values of the list valued. Yeah. Of
this
the
is
original.
a mess, guys. This is a
No,
mess.
no, Stephen. Let's backtrack for a second. Tony is right that they don't have the same application semantics, but in general, if you are mapping or applying a function, the function is still called function. You don't change the wrapper that is basically just holding the code because you're applying it in a different way.
Okay, but what does E mean in this case? What is E in this case?
Okay, so in this case, E means it's instead of being a list of association, it's an association with list values. This is what it means. So basically, you will have in this case.
By the way, we should have a better way to get rid of the missing here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if I put F here, let's do a simpler thing. Let's say G8 as an entity class. Okay. I mean, by the way, that really seems like an example that's worth giving.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we should also mention then that for databases, the set of functions you can apply are very restricted.
Yes. I mean, we probably should say that in a bunch of other places as well. But this, for me, is clarifying. That's what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I think we should say are, in effect, applied to the list. Well, I'm going to get rid of this one. Are in effect applied to the list of values of properties in class. And then we have a similar thing here.
Well, I would say lists, not necessarily list.
Why?
Because you can have, for example, E of population multiplied by E of population again, or of E of something else.
No, but the question is, what is E? That's the question. What is E?
E is an association with the keys being the same properties.
Okay, then that's what we have to say here. Then that's what we have to say, because what we're going to be saying is, what is the E?
Well, one can think of, yes, but one can think of E as an association with the keys being the same properties, population, etc., and values.
Fine. Are in effect applied to a list of associations.
No, to an association of lists.
I see. To an association of lists of values.
List valued, maybe.
No, it's lists of values.
Yeah, with the keys being the same properties.
Applied to an association whose values are the lists of values for the entities in class. It's pretty convoluted.
What do we say for the third argument of group by?
I don't know. Listen, I really have to go, guys. We got to schedule another one of these, unfortunately. So there it is. Yeah. Hopefully soon.
Right.
Okay.
Oh,
I'll
by
push
the
these
way,
all back. And next time, please make sure that you guys are really on top of what has to be done, and that you really know what's still left to be done, what has been looked at, what hasn't been looked at.
well, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to the folks on the live stream. Bye.
Bye.